Like Oracle Virtual Private Database or VPD helps you implement row-level security. Say you have a table that is widely used, but there are some rows that not everyone should have access. Then you can limit this by implementing a VPD policy on that table. Oracle then will add whatever filter you created in that policy to the queries trying to reach the given table if the criteria is not met. I will show you an example where a certain company's record will be filtered out if the user does not have a certain role. The whole logic will be implemented in a single package. This requires a few things. For me, the driver will be a database role, and creating roles needs specific privilege. So I created the row filter role with DBA user and with this command. Also, the user who will have the VPD package needs a few extra privileges. Execute on the DBMS RLS package. We can grant it like this. And also a select on the DBA roles privileges because that is the way the validation in the package will be implemented. Once this is granted, we can create a package with the necessary components. The package will have two stored procs, applying the policy and drop the policy, and the function that will actually implement the filtering. The apply policy can add a certain policy to an object. I need to define the target schema, the target object name, the policy functions schema, and the actual function name, and what statement type should be applied to. In this example, I will be limiting selects only, so why without the right roles users can't query, they can insert or even delete the data if they have insert or delete rights on the object. The function will only trigger on select. You may want to consider what you allow based on your real-life requirements and granted privileges. This is how I can add the policy. As I said, schema, object, the policy name, and the implemented function. And once I run this I can query the results, and it shows that this schemas, this object does have a policy with this policy name, and this function has the actual implementation. The function defines the filter conditions. If the function does not have these two specific parameters, it returns an error. This might be a bug or only applies to the cloud environment, but since it is not used anywhere in the code, just make sure that you have iSchema and iTab as two worker inputs. Then the implementation goes as follows. First, I get the actual user from the session. Then I look up the certain role I created for this filter. If the user has it, I set a local variable to y as yes. If not, or for some reason it errors out, I set this variable to n. And then the logic tells what to concatenate to the query. If the result was y, so the user has the correct rights, it will only add 1 equal 1, technically no filter. Else, it adds a filter you need to eliminate the records. In this example, I want to hide the records belonging to company 1. Keep in mind that if the column can have nulls and you don't do the MVL, you might filter out records unintentionally. Now that the policy is in place, we can see what happens. Let's see how the table data looks. As you can see, it has company 1 3 records and company 2 another 3 records. Since the policy is not granted to the table's owner, even that owner can not see the company 1 data. As you can see, it only returns company 2. If I grant the table to another users, by default, it won't show the data. Now I look at the explain plan. I can see an additional filter predicate while I did not add any filter to my query that's coming from the policy and shows my MVL logic. Now, if I grant the role to the specific user and I reconnect the session and I'm querying the data, so with the reconnected session, I can now query the data and it now pulls the company one records. If now I check the explain plan, I don't see any filter, not even the 1 = 1, which is good because it does not filter out anything, but it doesn't have the company filter as before. If you want to remove the policy, you just need to run the drop policy statement, giving the schema, object, and the policy name that you want to remove from that object. This is just a small demo on Oracle's virtual private database. You can go deeper by adding more complex logic, the filter, or even filter out columns by using the sec relevant calls and sec relevant calls of parameters of the add policy function and apply the right functions. Thank you for watching.